So, Kim.
Hello.
You are talking about Buffy today, one episode of Buffy.
Yes.
And you would consider yourself, I would also consider you, something of a Buffy aficionado.
That is correct.
So what I want to ask you today is, what is something about this series, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, that keeps you coming back?
Heroism and the way that Buffy herself always perseveres in light of adversity, not only from the vampires and demons and the forces of darkness, but her friends as well.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tales of Our Times. This is a show where we discuss the stories that move us, what makes them so meaningful, and why others could or should find meaning in them as well. This is not a spoiler-free show, so bear that in mind as you continue to listen. We tackle books, movies, podcasts, and more. Where there's a story, there's a reason to read or watch in today's case.
Mm-hmm.
I'm your host, Amanda Stevens, and joining me today is my lovely friend and returning guest, Kim Gordon.
Hello.
Welcome back, Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us once again. So, at my request always, I appreciate it so much. Is there anything you would like to say to introduce yourself?
Let's see. I'm a resident temporarily now of Taiwan, and we're returning to Texas soon. Probably will be in Texas by the time this airs, I guess.
Yeah, probably.
And probably going to be watching Buffy when I get back, because that's what got me through living in Texas in the first place. So, oddly enough.
So very fitting. Very
Yeah.
fitting that we do this episode now.
Yeah.
And so we mentioned Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yes.
Now, what episode, because this season, we're only doing episodes, Buffy would be too huge
It's a
of a
7-season show.
thing,
Yeah.
to tackle on its own. So today we're going to be talking about one episode.
Yes.
What episode have you picked for us?
Season 3, episode called Amends. It aired during Christmas time.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I said when you first told me the name of the episode. That's what I'll say it again. I always get really nervous when like holiday episodes have like a big, heavy word
Yeah.
for the title. Like,
This is a very personal episode for me, too. Yeah.
oh, good. This
Yeah.
is going to be great. So, if there's anyone out there who hasn't seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, usually I give a summary, but again, I think it's too large to actually give a summary. So what overview would you tell people if they were to ask, like, what is Buffy about?
Buffy is a high school student who was chosen to be a vampire slayer by other, not spiritual, but supernatural forces that date back forever ago. And she was chosen at the age of 15. That's when they're called. When one slayer dies, the next one is called, and so on and so forth. And she moves from LA after her parents' divorce and goes to Sunnydale, California, a made-up town that is located on a hellmouth.
So perfect place for a chosen vampire slayer to just kind of knock them out right as they pop out of hell.
Yeah. Yeah. So destiny, fate plays a big role in the show, and it's her journey growing up, like getting through life
as a monster
vampire
slayer. Yeah.
So it's like her secret identity sort of thing. And when she moves to Sunnydale, she has a bad reputation because she burned down her high school gym because it was filled with vampires.
Oh, well.
So no humans were harmed in the burning of the
Making of this
gym.
film. Oh,
yeah. Which actually dates back to the original film that was made in the first place. Yeah.
Wow.
So it was a revival, basically. So Buffy's played by Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Very big actress in the 90s.
Yes,
I actually
Scream
knew
Queen.
her name.
Yeah, Scream Queen.
I'm abysmal with names. So
Yeah, it's okay.
the fact that I can remember anybody's name, especially from the 90s, to me is I'm like, wow, they must have been big.
Yeah. If you don't recognize her by name, you would recognize her face from something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Immediately. It is a Monster of the Week show, as I understand. So if you don't know what that means it's kind of like a Scooby-Doo kind of thing where every week there's a new monster that she faces down. You may have recurring villains, but while there is an overall story, it's also largely episodic, so you can kind of hop in and out and watch different episodes.
Yes. Yeah.
So probably actually I think in my mind one of like the defining Monster of the Week shows.
Yes.
So between that one and Scooby-Doo and
Supernatural. Her group is called the Scooby Gang, which is funny because
Cute.
of
I love this.
the
What we
illusion,
just
right?
said. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So we're about to get into the summary, but like I said, there is an overall story. So to that end, this is season 3. Is there anything that we would need to know or any characters that we would need to know before we get into the main summary, because the main character obviously is Buffy.
Yes.
Is there anyone else that we'll need for this summary or any other important points?
The main character for this one I would focus on, other than Buffy, is her ex-boyfriend Angel, who is a vampire with a soul. He's one of the only vampires with a soul in the canon, who in the previous season she had to kill to save the world.
Wow,
she sent him to hell.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Well, wait, can I have a question?
Yes.
So is this like one of those things, she sent him back to hell? Did he like actually die, or is this like you only die if you're killed in X way or X place?
No, so her boyfriend lost his soul and she had to kill him, and he got sucked into hell. And somebody, brought him back from hell, and he didn't know why, but he'd been resold prior to dying.
Resold spelled RESOULED.
Yep.
Resold, put a soul back in.
Yeah. And so her best friend is a witch and had resold him, but didn't know that he was about to be killed. And so his last memory is getting sent to hell by the woman he loves.
Oh, cool.
And then he wakes up like several months later, not knowing why he's out of hell. And she doesn't tell anybody that he's back because she had run away.
Buffy, ran away from Sunnydale.
She ran away from home afterwards. Yeah, her mom kicked her out. She ran away from home because her mom had just found out she was a vampire slayer, and all of her friends were mad at her when she finally came back. Yeah, it was a lot.
Sounds like this is a lot. Yeah, I was sorry.
Yeah.
Nobody can see there. I was making a face. I was pulling a face because there's a lot of drama.
Yeah, it was a lot for her.
Yes, it's a lot for anybody.
And that's actually the first episode I ever saw of Buffy, was her sending Angel to hell.
Oh, cool! And you stuck around.
Yeah,
you're like, what's going on?
What is happening? So I found a way to watch it from the beginning.
Okay.
So when she finds out that he's back, she keeps it a secret because he had tormented everybody when he'd lost his soul. So Angel had, sorry.
Okay.
And his evil side without the soul goes by Angelus. So they're all traumatized by him because he killed a lot of people and stuff. So she doesn't tell anybody, and he's also traumatized from having been in hell.
And dying and
yeah, so she's secretly rehabilitating him. And he's trying to cope with what he did because he remembers it all. It just took a while, right? Because he's like, hi, I'm back. Oh, God, I'm dying.
Yeah, yeah. Rough. It's definitely like a bad cycle.
Yes.
We wouldn't want to repeat that.
Yes.
All right. So with that in mind, Kim, can you give us a summary of the episode Amends?
Come the point of amends, her friends have found out that he's back. They're mad at her and stuff. And he thinks he's not good enough for her, and he never has. And of course, he's got like 200 years on her, so you can't really blame him of the age gap. But like he was also a teenager when he was turned. People forget that.
Right. We're gonna we skip over the age gap for the sake of like they're both like he's an eternal teenager.
Yeah.
And she's a current teenager.
Yes.
So.
So come amends, he's trying to kill himself basically because he can't handle the torment. And this episode introduces the big bad is what we call him in Buffyverse, the big bad, called the First Evil. And he finds out the First Evil brought him back.
That's a great name for like an overall villain,
yes,
like the big bad.
The First Evil, isn't it though? First Evil. The First Evil. The First Evil doesn't have a corporeal form, but it wants one.
I mean, why would it?
So it takes the form of people who have died. So it's tormenting Angel with his past of all the people he's killed. So he's just slowly going even more insane from it.
So the rehabilitation has hit a roadblock at this point.
A little bit, yeah.
The roadblock is the First Evil,
and
which you can't blame him.
And she had been trying, like her friends had found out things were a little bit more stable. They were together, but he's slowly descending into madness again because
the First Evil
is tormenting him and making him believe that the First Evil is what brought him back from hell. Whether or not that's true, you don't really know in that episode. But because of that descent into madness, it's affecting her life and everything else. And so her focus gets drawn to him and trying to save him from his own madness, not knowing what he's seeing. So she has dreams about his past because Buffy experiences prophetic dreams as one of the things. And so she's showing up in his dreams, and they both know that they're in each other's
dreams.
Psyche, basically. Yeah. And it comes to a point where she's like, we have to do something about this.
We got to fix this. Like, this is becoming a big problem.
Right.
Clearly, it's a big problem.
Yeah. And it comes to a head, of course, when he goes up to a cliffside, and he's ready for the sun to come up, and they have an exchange. Which has one of my favorite Buffy quotes in it, where she tells him strong is fighting, it's hard and it's painful and it's every day and it's what we have to do and we can do it together. And he kind of falters, but then it starts to snow in Southern California on Christmas Eve.
How nice.
And so even though the sun's coming up,
you can't see it.
You can't see it, so he's not going to burn. And
So it has to be direct sunlight in this
yes,
universe.
it has to be direct sunlight.
Okay.
And I mean, it's completely blanketed with snow as sort of a sign to him that he shouldn't do this to himself.
Yeah.
Right? And he takes it as that he
Like
can
a Christmas
find.
miracle, basically.
Yeah. And so he finds sort of a temporary peace in this episode with her. And they walk hand in hand through the snow in Sunnydale at the very end.
Oh my God. Okay. Oh, that's a much better ending than I thought that it was going to be. I was so nervous when you first told me.
It's a very emotional episode given the themes of it, especially given that it's a high school setting and things like that. So it deals with very deep things like thoughts of suicide and psychological trauma and everything. And it's handled really beautifully, I feel, especially because their scene together on that cliffside is just very powerful and very emotional. And it hit hard for me at the time when I watched it the first time.
Well, let's get into that. What was your first encounter with
The show itself?
this episode?
Oh, this episode, sorry.
If you remember.
I mean, I just watched it every week religiously. So
Yeah.
I watched it the night it aired the first time.
Christmas-ish.
Christmas-ish. In my day, we didn't binge anything. We couldn't.
We had TV ads.
Yeah. And like at the time, I was role-playing her online on AOL Instant Messenger. Well, not Instant Messenger, but AOL itself, which is where you write as characters and write out different storylines and things. And that's how I met my person that I love, who is also writing Angel.
Oh, perfect. Oh, that's sweet.
And so like when we're both having difficult times, we end up almost every single time quoting, "Strong is fighting, it's hard and it's painful, it's every day, it's what we have to do, and we can do it together."
Oh, that's so sweet. So then, like, I guess that does kind of answer the question, what makes this episode so meaningful to you? So let's like zoom out then from here.
Sure.
What meaning do you think that others can find in this episode?
There's always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to look for it
Mm-hmm.
and be willing to look for it, because so often we get lost in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to reach for the hand behind you.
So this episode then ends basically with him like realizing what he can be.
Yes.
I want to ask for like further spoilers in this. Like, after this moment, does Angel, like in that theme, because this is kind of about Angel making amends, like amends with himself, coming to terms with like what he's done and taking steps to
That he can be good, he can make amends.
Yeah.
That amends are possible. You can always find forgiveness, but you have to forgive yourself first.
That's very interesting. Like, so this episode deals mostly with him kind of facing his own demons, right?
Yes.
Like facing himself. Does he ever, after this, like face the other people head on? Because he's being tormented by
The first evil. Masquerading.
Okay, great name. By the first evil. So, and then this one, again, is like, you have to be able to face yourself first. In my opinion, you have to face yourself first before you face others. They're different people, different things. Maybe you need to see others first for your own journey. But does he end up, I don't want to say making amends, because it's also kind of like, it's an individual thing to decide whether or not to forgive somebody who has hurt you, right? So, but does he then journey after this to try to make amends on an individual level to the other members of the Scooby Gang? I was laughing because I remember the name.
Yeah, the Scooby Gang. Yeah, the Scoobies, the Scooby Gang. He tries. The one who he wronged the most is Buffy's Watcher, which is basically like a guide that they have access to resources and history on demonology and so on. And they watch the Slayer and help them out. They train them and things. And
kind of like an Alfred almost.
Yeah, except more involved than Alfred was.
Okay.
Although, to be fair, they're not supposed to be, but hers is. Hers becomes more like a father figure to her.
Right.
And he was dating a fellow teacher. He's the librarian at her school.
Oh,
that's his,
cute.
Like,
okay, that's his cover. Yeah, makes more sense.
And he started dating the computer science teacher, and Angel killed her.
Wow.
Angelus killed her, I should say, and left her for him to find.
Jeez. Yeah. Well, demons. It's demon stuff.
So he has the hardest time coming to grips with it, and he doesn't even want to talk to Buffy when he finds out she's been keeping Angel's secret.
Fair.
Yeah. After it's a process, and like the rest of the season is sort of finding a understanding that it wasn't Angel that did it. It was Angelus. So Angel had no choice because it was not him. It was the demon.
Yeah.
And they are two separate entities. But that's very difficult for people to parse because you look like the person that killed my girlfriend.
Right. So.
But that's a very easy distinction for Buffy to make.
Yeah. The one who's closest, right?
Yeah.
So, but then I guess for Angel, then we kind of see like reflected the different, should I say responses to like seeking amends?
Yes.
You know?
So he leaves her at the end of season 3 and embarks on his own journey of redemption in LA.
Okay.
And I was devastated.
Yeah. Oh, it's terrible.
That's my love story.
Yeah. So, all right. A good. Oh, man. Okay, it is good. I'm still like so excited that it's like at least this show ends with like, don't worry, we're going to do it and walk off. Because I was like definitely waiting for like amends to be like, and then everybody die.
Nope, not this one. It was very much invested in that Christmas miracle ideology, but not cheesy at all. It offered me hope because like things were difficult for my boyfriend at the time. And he also has trouble like coming to terms with like things that he feels he needs to be redeemed for and like his own personal demons. And so I'm sort of like, he's always considered me his Buffy. He's always been my Angel. And so like it's a very personal episode for me, and it means a lot to me, that episode, because like I said, it's something we both fall back on a lot.
Well, it's a great framing network to like the way that this conversation is held. It sounds like in this episode is a really great framing network for like how to deal with these like recurrent things like culpability, whether or not it's like owned or deserved, right? In Angel, we can see that like definitely there were probably things he did that he needs to like personally apologize for. There are certainly other things that like through the magic of cinema and storytelling, he was possessed by a demon. That doesn't happen to us on a daily basis, but like there are things that happen that are out of our control, right? And like, so culpability is a difficult beast, and like trying to help yourself and help somebody else who's like trying to deal with like how to own up to the parts of actions that you are culpable for, accepting parts that might have been outside of your control, but you did nonetheless. And like navigating that path is so difficult. Like it sounds like, you know, this is a really great way to frame it. And that quote of like, you just need to like keep fighting. It's not finished. I think is it's a good way to think about it. Because it ends with that nice thing you said, right? Like,
and they walk through the snow holding hands.
Yeah. Like you don't have to do it alone, which is the hopeful message.
Isolation is the killer.
Yes. I want to go into another quote. It's the mind killer.
Yeah.
But it's really true. So
that's what the first evil tries to do, is constantly isolate people. And the first evil is a figure that comes back much later towards the last season. Yeah.
We kind of like skip past him till he comes back. Well, that makes sense. So he's revealed, he disappears, he comes back with his master plan. So very fitting. But we're almost out of time. So Kim, if you were to give Amends its own one phrase subtitle, what would it be?
Maybe I'll do something a little different and tell you what I tell Chris, my person, my angel. I will be the light at the end of your tunnel. You just have to look for me.
Look for my light?
Look for my light.
Look for my light. Aww, that's so sweet. I love it. So, well, Kim, thank you for joining us. This has been, I said it a few times already, but I was like so trepidatious when I heard about it. But it was so uplifting in the end.
I think it's a really underrated episode because of it, personally.
Well, I hope that everybody out there, if you haven't, check out Buffy. Super well known. Great introduction to, like we said, the Monster of the Week kind of franchise.
Genre,
franchise.
It's okay.
I'm just grabbing all kinds of words today that aren't quite it, huh?
I've been doing the same.
Yeah. But, you know, it's a good introduction to the genre, and like it has a lot of great themes. So anyway, unfortunately, we are all out of time for today. So thank you to everyone out there. This has been Tales of Our Time on Radio Taiwan International. I was your host, Amanda Stevens, and my lovely guest was Kim Gordon.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me. And thank you to everyone out there for joining us to learn more about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Amends. Look for my light. A tale of our time. We'll see you next time.